Something came out of Jasmine Crockett yesterday related to this crime debate that I wanted to run by you real quick before we segue into the Cracker Barrel stuff. Here is, and I've told you this, everybody in politics right now is trying like all hell to become a big social media influencer. Okay, they are social media influencers with a side hustle in Congress. That's sadly what's running most of Washington right now. It's people just trying to get clicks so they can become a little more relevant. It'll help out with their fundraising, and maybe they too can be a national name at some point to run for office. That is what Jasmine Crockett aspires to do. Now understand, Jasmine Crockett is a bit of a fraud in that she went to really, really expensive schools out there. Schools that cost her parents over $60,000 a year from what we were reading in the reports. Yet she's decided to repurpose herself as, you know, a little bit more of like a C-list rapper. You know, she's like Cardi B's dumber sister, Cardi C, you know, Cardi C minus or something. I don't know what to tell you. In the process of playing this character who's a little more street, she's starting to take positions that definitely sound like somebody who doesn't really have a background in any type of education. Like she's gone out of her way to distance herself from the formal education she received with quotes like this. She wants you to believe law enforcement doesn't exist to prevent crime. I mean,
such an idiot.
Listen to this clip 13.
I want to be clear that, like, law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, okay? That is what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to solve crimes, not necessarily prevent them from happening, per se.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Okay, so when there's like a robbery in progress, do the cops show up? Of course they do. Okay, if there is a person getting raped on a subway platform, if a cop is there, he doesn't go, hey, hey, ho, hey, don't mind me. You guys go ahead and finish up what you're doing over there. I'm here to solve the crime. So once you get done, sir, we'll go ahead and maybe we'll arrest you, depending on the local laws. I don't know what they've passed at the city council level in the last few weeks. Okay, when you're driving on a highway, have you ever seen, they do this in New York a lot, they'll park an empty police cruiser on the side of the highway just because people will see it and slow down, going, oh, man, I don't want to get a ticket. I want this cop to pull me over. And then you get close enough and you're like, hey, there's nobody in it. What do you mean, you know?
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Guys, there can be no argument anywhere where there's functioning brains that the cops are there to prevent crime. None. Zero. Okay, that's like saying, you know, brakes aren't here to stop cars. It's like, wait, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, and having an increased police presence on the ground makes it a lot less likely that people will commit crime in that area, if only because the vision, the sight of the police itself serves as a deterrent. But the reality that if you're trying to steal something and a cop might arrest you and send you to jail, yes, that is the deterrent. The problem in society right now is we've lost a lot of the deterrence. If you pass laws that say you can't charge minors with capital offenses, then yes, capital offenses are going to go down if they're being committed by minors. So yeah, you get the manipulation of the crime stats, but the crime is actually going up. That's the bigger problem. And when you have people like Jasmine Crockett, who again, she wants to be an influencer. She wants to be a big deal. And she is. She's getting a lot of hits. A lot of liberals click on her stuff. A lot of Republicans click on her stuff just the same. But what we're advancing here is rampant and rank stupidity. Okay, and when you see people like her get out of bed every morning and just go, what's happening in the world? Okay, let me think with my team that I'm horrible to, by the way. I mean, she is, the late, great Sheila Jackson Lee, as some might refer to her, was considered the worst human being to ever treat congressional staffers. But Jasmine Crockett is like right there. She's like the Black Ellen. Like, she'll really give it to the staff. You better not make eye contact. You better hold her bags. You better be prepared to be yelled at and cursed out. Like, that's a known thing. I mean, they wrote a pretty good expose about it if you read it last month. But the point is, okay, people like Jasmine Crockett get out there and they go, well, I need an angle that's going to make me pop. I've got it. I'll say the cops aren't there to stop crime.
You can't handle the truth.
What are we talking about? Okay, like, think about, you know, say a president comes to town. Say there's a New Year's Eve in Times Square, okay? Why do we have 5,000 cops on duty? Because they're on the lookout at all times for something that can go wrong in a crowd that big. No differently, it's like having the TSA. Not that they're necessarily doing anything, but the TSA is working at the airport to spot potential crimes before they make their way onto the plane. The idea that they're just there to solve things is just such an insult to everybody's intelligence. And I bring it up because it's kind of the theme of this hour. Nobody's even trying anymore. Like, here's Stacey Abrams. This is completely unrelated to the Jasmine Crockett thing, but it'll make sense when you hear it. This is Stacey Abrams. You know how Stacey Abrams ran for governor in 2018 and lost? But she kept claiming it was stolen, and she was the duly elected governor of Georgia. And she did that over the course of months and years. Here she is now trying to convince you that she didn't say she won because she won the election. She lost the election. She just kept telling everybody she won because of the progress that her going that far represented. I mean, this is straight clown stuff. Listen to this one, clip 15.
In 2018, when I lost my election, I was never confused about it. I had conversations with communities, and I would say we won. And that just would send people into these paroxysms of hatred. What I was telling them is, look, not getting the title did not mean that we didn't make progress. When you are trying to defend democracy, when you are trying to serve the people, progress counts as victory, because their goal is your silence. Their goal is your complicity. Their goal is your subjugation.
I'll play it again. And I say that why? Because I'm about to play you a montage of Stacey Abrams reacting to the 2018 election. Tell me if this sounds like a woman who says she knew she lost. And she was just talking about how she was categorizing victory as not being silenced or subjugated. No, she's flat out saying she got more votes than she won. Here it is, clip 16.
I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won. But I didn't lose. I got the votes. But we won't know exactly how many because of how they cheated. I did win my election. I just didn't get to have the job. We were robbed of an election.
Using the word rigged, using the word steal, do you think it's dangerous going into 2020?
I don't, because we can actually back it up. And so in response to what I believe was a stolen election, and I'm not saying they stole it from me, they stole it from the voters of Georgia. In fact, someone outside asked if I'm ever going to concede. The answer is no.
This is not a speech of concession, because concession means to acknowledge an action is right, true, or proper. And I will not concede because the erosion of our democracy is not right.
People are going to make you mad. They're going to hurt your feelings. They're going to steal your election.
It was not a free and fair election. I think the election was stolen from the people of Georgia. I believe it was stolen from the voters.
I mean, that is Stacey Abrams.
This is total crap.
I mean, really think about that for a second. And now she's on TV telling you what? I never said I won. I said I lost from the get-go. I just played you 33 clips of her saying she won. The election was stolen. She got the votes. She's the duly elected governor. And now she's on your TV going, no, I said victory just meant we went further than people thought we would. I mean, come on.
That is balderdash and hogwash and
But the bigger problem we have, and this is where this stuff really gets dicey and stupid, is yes, we're living in the death of shame. People will go on TV and say anything they want. But the other problem is there really isn't any collective memory. One of the reasons we have on this show, we call it permanent audio. Like that'd be something that could fall under that category, where you go get an old clip of someone saying something and you keep it around. So when the story changes or when the politics change and when somebody takes a new position or pretends they never took an old one, we can play you the clips and go, no, this is actually just what they said. And I'm not saying it to make her look bad. I'm saying it because I just want us to have an honest conversation, something nobody cares about in Washington. Nobody really cares. I mean, to be clear, most conservatives in media don't care. They just want you to vote for the right, just like most liberals in media want you to vote for the left. It's just a fight. It's a team sport. They want their side to win. The only thing we're fighting for in the show is an honest conversation. Holds us back. It holds us back a lot, but it's okay. We'd rather be held back and do the show in good conscience than be, some shock jock, manipulative jackass. But I bring all of this up because it builds to this crescendo of people not thinking. So Cracker Barrel just announced that they are killing off all remodels, all of them. Not just the logo, which they walked back at the behest of Donald Trump, but the store remodels. I bring it up. Why? Because if you remember, the CEO of the company was on Good Morning America talking to Michael Strahan. And if you remember, she said to him, after he asked, hey, what happens if people don't like the remodels? She goes, oh, that's so silly. I'll give you an anecdote. I was just at the convention, and all the managers came up to me and said, oh, my God, I love the remodels. When can I get a remodel? Oh, my God, the remodels are so great.
That is offensive, and it is not true.
But at the time, I said when we were listening to this, I said, guys, it's the CEO. No one is walking up to the CEO at a convention and going, this new remodel thing sucks. You're going to tank the company. Who did you talk to come up with this new logo? What are you, nuts? Nobody's going to say that. And I told you before their stock even cratered, the minute we saw this new logo, the minute we saw the remodel, I was sitting here on the radio going, oh my God, they're trying to reconfigure Cracker Barrel to cater to the people who don't actually go to Cracker Barrel.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've heard of.
But that's what the rebrand was about. Okay? And here she was at the time. This is the clip I was reacting to, trying to convince you everybody loved it. Clip 18.
What if all the customers are coming at you hard enough about the look of the restaurants and they want to go back to the old way? Would you do it?
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
Oh, man. Again, why? She just told you. Oh, the remodel's so popular. Everybody's coming up to me saying, when can I get one? But her question from Strahan is, what do you do if all the customers come at you hard enough about the look of the restaurant when they want to go back to the old one? Would you do it? Honestly, that's so silly. Of course not. Everybody loves the remodel. Yeah, they love it so much. She just announced that there's no more remodeling to be done. It's the biggest problem facing us as a society. There's a lot of people out there that are just running a confidence scheme. Just get in front of a camera, say something with a great degree of confidence, and enough gullible, stupid people who don't want to think for themselves will follow you. But it doesn't ultimately make you right. And if you don't believe me, look at the stock price of Cracker Barrel, the popularity of Stacey Abrams, or the IQ of Jasmine Crockett. There it is, Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon, fired up to talk to this next guest. She is the host of the Tudor Dixon podcast and a fan favorite on that show, this show, and any show. Shows she's never even been on. Tudor Dixon is here. The crowd goes wild. I'm trying not to get emotional. Hi, Tudor.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
How about it? You didn't bet the Lions the other day, did you?
Oh.
Oh, no. It's okay. Both New York teams lost just the same. The Jets
Sometimes that's just a way to make it, you go harder the next time and then you come in with the Super Bowl win.
Fair. Okay. I like the optimism. And honestly, if the Lions have never won a Super Bowl, that's fine. Our New York team, the Jets, the last time we won one was 1969. It predates the moon landing. You know what So did we really win one? I mean, no. I mean, how?
Right, yeah, that's true.
Who the hell's listening?
We can call that into question.
Yeah, thank you. We don't even know. They might have faked that. I think Stanley Kubrick shot the video of the Jets winning the Super Bowl. If you look closely, the Colts won that game. Let's talk about this. There's so much dumb, horrible stuff going on. So I appreciate you coming in because you're good for morale. We always have a light conversation. But I'm having a hard time because every subject is so dour right now. It's, crime and this horrible Charlotte thing. Isn't it kind of weird that I don't know anybody voting for the Democrats besides a couple of white crazy ladies at this point, that they should be at least pretending to care about this poor white Ukrainian girl who got killed down in Charlotte, but it doesn't sound like they care.
How can you not care about anyone who has this happen? I mean, that's what blows my mind. Look, In July, a very similar situation happened in Michigan. We had the Walmart stabber. Nobody talked about him. Another guy who had mental health issues that needed a mental health institution. The minute President Trump talks about institutions, people are like, oh my gosh, you can't go back to that. People are getting stabbed. This poor young woman. I mean, I think about my daughters. I think about anybody that I think about you guys out there in New York getting on public transit, thinking you're safe. You know, I heard somebody say something that I think was so profound. He said, you don't ever sit down in a public area and get on your phone anymore in America because you're not safe. And I thought, wow, how did we get here?
I know, it's scary. We're talking to the great Tudor Dixon. When I ride the subway in New York City, I have ear pods in, but they're not turned on. So I can hear what's going on around me. Because you're right. We don't really have that luxury anymore. And that's sad. You know, and in a place like Charlotte, which is no different than what you just talked about with the Walmart out there by you, there's this real indifference. Because I think part of the problem, too, is, you know, if you admit we need Trump to come in and crack down on crime in your city, you're admitting that you didn't. I mean, isn't that what you see in Chicago? I mean, J.B. Pritzker doesn't want this. The mayor doesn't want this. Because if there is crime to be lowered, that means they should have done it.
Right, absolutely. But look at, I'll take Michigan again, because we've got the mayor of Detroit. Detroit is now listed as the second most violent city in America. We like to compete with Memphis and St. Louis, but as of 24, we were the second most violent city in America. And you've got the mayor of Detroit now running for governor of the state. Now, this is the bizarre thing about it. He comes out, I mean, talk about a radical, violent city. He keeps saying, oh, we're so much safer. We're so much safer. And we know that some of those crime statistics were fudged when they were sent to the FBI from Detroit, which we've seen across the country now. So we know that even those numbers might not be accurate. We could very well be the most dangerous city in the country. And yet he's saying, give me more responsibility. Let me be the governor of the state. That's how crazy this is. They think that they should be rewarded up every time they do something horrible.
Yeah, that's the part that drives me crazy, is that at a national level, everyone's trying to do that. Newsom's trying to do that in Cali.
Yes.
Pritzker's trying to do that. They're like, well, if I pick a fight with Trump, I could be the face of the resistance, and then nobody will care that I suck. And that's kind of what everybody's going after right now. And that's the part that drives me crazy. There's a lot of people that they truly just don't care. I mean, you couldn't care if you were getting in the way of stuff like this. But do you think there becomes a point? Like, do you know how in the last election, the Democrats took 1 million executive actions to rescind Trump's border policies under Biden? But by the end of the 2024 election, they were running on, we need to clean up this border, with no acknowledgement of the fact that they made the mess. But the point is, they did recognize it as a political liability. Do you think there's a world where the Democrats could suddenly about face on crime, if for no other reason than because it's a danger to them at the polls?
They're not even budging on it. I mean, that's the shocking thing. And it's never really been in their vocabulary to budge on it. I mean, last summer, we had a shooting at a splash pad in a very wealthy area in the suburbs of Detroit. And I will say, Governor Whitmer, who is also jockeying to be president, she was out on every TV station, every network crying about this shooting. Devastating. Yeah. I agree. Any shooting is devastating. But I will tell you that a few days later, there was the largest mass shooting we have ever seen in Detroit. I think every victim was African American. Almost every victim was either a teenage or 20-year-old woman. And Gretchen Whitmer said nothing. I think when it comes to crime, they are so desensitized to it. And the fact of the matter is that if it comes to crime and it's not in a wealthy area, if it's not their donors, they just simply don't care.
They don't care. That's crazy. Tudor Dixon is on the line, and we're talking about mass shootings. If anybody's looking for some comedy, I mean, you know, it's just that you gotta play the teams on the schedule, and it's been so ugly. And I think that's my biggest frustration, is that there is like this mindset where it's just like part of the cost of doing business. Like last week when Pritzker got interviewed, he was like, well, you know, big cities are going to have a lot of crime. That's just reality. But like, there's no world where we should accept that. And I just wonder, like, how high do you think crime is if pretty much every locale in some capacity is getting caught fudging the numbers? It's probably worse than the way we feel, no?
Yes, but why is that? Why would you fudge the numbers on crime? Why do you want to stop fighting crime? I mean, that's the part that's crazy to me. And I think it stems from the Obama era, where he started to really rag on the police. Anything with the police, he couldn't, the police were biased, the police were bad. And this went on for 15 years of people just trashing the police, and then the Democrats jumped on board in 2020 hardcore, the defund the police. You had some of these really famous Democrats going out there and marching with these groups that said defund the police. And now it's almost like not only can they not walk that back, they can't figure their way out of that paper bag because they're like, we destroyed police departments. I mean, they have to admit they destroyed police departments across this country. And that is really a real part of the problem that we have here. I mean, if you're looking at a root cause, you don't have enough people to fight crime. It comes directly from them. So how can they now admit that they did that?
Yeah, that's the bigger problem is they wanted less cops.
Yes.
And we know more cops helps. I mean, just the presence of a cop makes people less likely to commit crimes. It's like they keep saying this about D.C. They're like, well, those federal troops aren't making arrests. I'm like, they don't need to. The point is they're there. So there are less crimes to commit because you're not going to commit them in front of somebody that's going to arrest you.
But you make such a great point. That's what Pritzker keeps saying. Don't bring these federal troops here. They're not trained police officers. You make such a great point. They don't have to be. No. It's just them being there. Yeah. They deter crime. And yes, a police force does deter crime. It does stop crime from happening.
Like, let me speak to you as like through the lens of a high school kid when I was in high school, okay? My parents didn't stop people from drinking because if they showed up, we did it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had a keg and your parents came home early, you were like, we got to get this thing over the fence.
Right.
You know,
right.
there is no stat that says like my mom or dad tackled the keg and took the beer out of our hands because we got rid of it on account of the fact that they were there, you know?
Yes.
And that's the part is everybody's trying to sort of like manipulate the context to make their side seem like more enlightened. Something Jasmine Crockett said, I played it earlier, it hurt my face. Because she was like, well, you know, the police aren't there to prevent crime. They're there to solve it.
Oh, right.
Which is insane. If someone's getting mugged or raped or robbed and there's a cop there, he doesn't go, hey, let me know when you guys are finished so I can solve this crime.
The report.
Yeah. Let me know. Yeah. I'm going to go grab a sandwich. Here's my beeper number. If you could just hit me up afterwards. That's what's insane.
Yes, the scary thing is that these people have the power to do something about that, and the power that they're using that power to stop police from doing their jobs. And they have been for over 10 years now. They've been using this to foil police, to stop police, to deter people from joining the police force. Yeah. I mean, this is crazy. You know, you have relatives that are police officers. You know that the most effective police officers come from your community. If you tell an entire community, do not become a cop, they won't.
Yep. True story. But that is the reality of where we are. And if they would have completely defunded the police under Biden, but he thought they were a British rock band. So he was like, what do you got against Sting? I think he's a nice enough fella. Let him keep the money. And I think that was the problem, Tudor. But it was ugly.
They could have done anything with the auto pen.
Things dominant. We have to hang out under better terms, Tudor. Every news cycle lately has just been awful. It's like the country is doing good, but we're fighting over stupid things because crime, okay, is not a political issue. If somebody mugs you, they don't go, who are you going to vote for in the midterms? They just mug you. That's the point.
Right, but there is a good side here. Mm-hmm. President Trump is fighting it. That's why they are fighting so hard not to talk about it. And that's why it's coming up, because we are saying, look, this is what happens when you don't fight it. And this is what happens when President Trump stands in the way.
Amen. He's got that going for him. And they are. They're taking a lot of the right sides. And they're lucky to have you on their side because nobody messes with Tudor Dixon.
That's right.
Nobody. People don't know this. You require me to say that at least once an interview. Isn't that in the contract? You have to remind them nobody messes with Tudor Dixon. That'd be so much better if it was true. I actually think that would be really funny.
That's what I need you to tell Dana Nessel. But she did just get her butt handed to her in Michigan today.
Damn right she did.
Our Attorney General deserves it.
She learned the hard way.
That's
Tudor,
right.
You're the coolest. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you.
Bye. The great Tudor Dixon. Nobody messes with Tudor Dixon. Are you kidding me? To give you an idea of just how dour the news cycle has been, we're bringing in a Minnesota Vikings fan to pick up the vibe because they're riding high right now. Big comeback last night. Joining us to discuss it, host of the Big Money Show on the Fox Business Network, Brian Brenberg in the house. Hey, man.
Man, you know what happened to me on the Vikings last night? I went to bed at 17-6, okay? because I just said this, McCarthy, we got another one of these quarterbacks. I went to bed. It was done. I randomly woke up in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. And I'm like, don't check your phone. But I just want to confirm the Vikings lost.
Yeah.
They're 24-20. And then the great storyline, McCarthy in the huddle. Where else would you rather be? Picking these guys up, the 22-year-old, and I'm buying Super Bowl tickets today. So it's like it was a huge turn of events for me.
That prisoner of the moment thing in the NFL though is so true. Like every team that started off 0-1, they're like, fire the coach, fire the cheerleaders, everybody's got to go. But if you win the first game, you're like, best team ever. You know what they didn't tell you, though, about him asking the team, where would you want to be? Is a lot of guys were like, San Diego.
Don't answer that.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, it was just, I was just saying it to say it. But yeah, it was great. It was a great win. It's a great way to start the season. I watched the opener. I was watching the Steelers play the Jets. I didn't know this, okay, because Lincoln's a big Steeler fan.
Yep.
Going into MetLife Stadium, I assumed, because Lincoln's like, I'm wearing my Steelers jersey. And I was like, oh, good for him. He's going to get beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody recognizes him from TV so we don't get hit with too much beer and they're nice about it. But the Jets fans are just like resigned to their fate.
Right.
No one threw a beer at him.
No.
Come on, man.
One guy asked if he could borrow that. Hey, you using that jersey right now?
Hey, you could have that for your little comedy skit there. And we watched Aaron Rodgers. It was really funny because when they wound up winning the game, he was asked, what did it mean to beat, Aaron Glenn, who didn't want to re-sign him? He said it felt good to beat anyone associated with the Jets. But I want that spite in sports. We need spite in sports.
Yes, it's just too friendly. There's too much happiness all around. You got to hate somebody
because the money got too good. The same thing that happened to thoroughbred racing. The reason they had a hard time with a horse winning the Triple Crown for 40 years is they didn't want to risk injuring anybody because the breeding money was too good in horse racing.
Yeah.
The stud money was so big, and it's the same thing that happened to Major League Baseball. If everybody's making $12 million, how mad can you be at the Red Sox?
That's right.
Do you remember how all the Yankees would play in David Ortiz's celebrity bowling event?
Yes.
And then in the 70s, are you going to tell me Thurman Munson was going to Carlton Fisk's bowling tournament?
He was going there to break stuff.
Yeah,
right?
To barricade the doors and light the place on fire.
It's really the Bob Gibsons in baseball is what we lost.
Yeah.
Look, you're a human being, but I'm going to throw it at your head 3 times in a row.
Amen.
Just so you know, I want to beat you. I don't want to be your friend. You can make money, but I'm here to beat you.
Amen. And that is why, folks, anyone walking around the Fox News headquarters has heard Brian Brenberg extolling on the virtues of the Oasis concert last week. It's because they beat each other up. You have that bitter rivalry.
It's that creative process. You gotta break a cricket bat over somebody else's head if you want to write great music.
I want Brenberg to get credit for this on the air. No one knows this story. I tell you guys, you guys have the highest security clearance in media, and it has been immortalized in my office since it happened. It went up last Monday. Did you know that? So we're picking up Brenberg in the city to go to the Oasis concert. It was, I guess, August 31st. It was Sunday of Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
And because you had decided that you'd been reduced to a hitchhiker in order to get a ride to a MetLife Stadium, you showed up with a Texas sign like Pee Wee had in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. I mean, it was amazing. But I countered because from the other side of the street, I recognized the prop comedy. And what did I do? I put on the Pee Wee's Big Adventure soundtrack, and we met on the corner of 37th
It was it was like a meeting of the minds. I brought the sign, you brought the soundtrack, and right on 37th Street there, we did something that confused most of New York.
Including our passengers.
Yeah, that's right.
I have the 2 guys in the back of my Bronco actually filmed the video because they didn't know what was going on. They're like, wow, Jimmy's picking up a hitchhiker. What the hell's happening over here? He said it was going to be a wild day. I didn't know.
What a day it was, man. That was so fun.
Brian Brenberg in studio, talking about a lot of things. The Vikings, we're talking about Oasis, who, by the way, still have the fastball. Kennedy went the next night.
Yep.
And she said they were amazing and just as good. Yeah. And I don't doubt that they were. I mean, they've had about 16 years off.
Yes.
So they've both been punched a lot less than the last time we saw them on the road. These guys were beat up, you know?
That's true. That's true, man. No, they brought it. They most of the time when you see somebody who's been out of the game for a while, you're like, look, it's good to see them. You don't expect much. This is just going to be kind of sing the hits badly and we'll all go home. And that whole stadium. I mean, I've seen so many people in different walks of life over this past week and a half or whatever. And every one of them somehow gets wind that you went there, and they're just like, "What'd you think?"
Yeah.
And you're all you say is like, Unbelievable. Like top 3 ever. I mean, everybody has that response.
It was that good. They had the whole place dialed in. And it's funny because Liam Gallagher, for those of you listening around the country, our New York sports teams, for some reason, play in New Jersey. It's the funniest thing in the world. Like when we had the last New York Super Bowl, it was the Broncos against the Seahawks. They played in New Jersey. Right. That's where MetLife Stadium is. So our stadiums have been moved. And Liam Gallagher actually said on stage, he's like, it's so good to be here in New York, New Jersey, wherever the fuck we are. And he said that. He actually said that on stage.
He did.
And he wasn't trying to be funny. It's like if you're a British guy and your manager's like, yeah, we're playing New York this weekend. And then you see the bus pulling into New Jersey. You're like, I have questions. And the man was had. But you know what? It did not affect his performance. So just give me this real quick, and then we'll do some adulting.
All right.
Everybody says, obviously there was, it's pretty known at this point that they fought a lot.
Yep.
And that was part of the process and everything. We've seen the Supersonic documentary and blah, 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 blah. They walked on stage holding hands. I guess that was the optic they settled on.
Yep.
I didn't necessarily get the feeling that they were best buddies now. I just thought they united around a common denominator, which was capitalism, because there was a merch tent in like the urinal. I mean, it was everywhere.
Oh, that merch was everywhere. I mean, look, money can bring people together in some pretty fantastic way. I don't know that, guys you get to a certain age and maybe after 16 years, what they said is, look, we're never going to be best friends, but there's a better way to do this than to be bitter enemies. Like the ride they went on from like 94 to 97, few people on planet Earth have ever been on a ride like
biggest band in the world, man. And it all started, I always talk to this audience about the creative process, because somebody picked up a notebook and just started writing stuff.
Yeah.
And there was no market for it. There was no Wembley Stadium waiting to be filled. There were no airwaves waiting to play your songs. Everyone listening right now, if you want to create something, it's the coolest thing you can do. Just go create something. And you've bought yourself a lottery ticket, if it's halfway decent, to anything.
Totally, man.
Chuck Berry in Wentzville, Missouri. If you're listening on 97.1 FM Talk, I'm going to be there in January. Come see the show.
Hey!
I'm not really Chuck Berry. I dress like Holly Berry. I mean, to be honest, but Chuck Berry was like an electrician and a beautician. A lot of ishins, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And became a musician, okay, and started writing songs. And the Beatles exist because they all liked American rock music at the time because they liked Chuck Berry, and that was one of the things they bonded over at the Cavern Club.
Dude, isn't every rock and roll star really a combination of electrician and beautician at the end of the day? Right? I mean, since Chuck Berry, those are the two things. You need an electric instrument, and you got to look a certain way.
You got to look a certain
way. He did it literally.
He did it. He committed. He leaned in. But that is the spectacular possibility of the creative process. You can go anywhere. And let's face it, you might need the side job, because Trey just called in, Brenberg, Mr. Fox Business. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Wanted me to ask you about stagflation, because Trey said he is a trucker and he's no longer working 5 days a week. They've been cut down to 4 because a lot of the places they're pulling into aren't exporting goods at the level they once were. And he says it feels a lot like they're entering a time of stagflation, and the truckers are usually the first to feel it. Is that concern out there for you?
Well, that's a really interesting point, Trey. Thank you for that, because one of the things we've been monitoring is truck traffic and truckloads, and we have seen a decrease there, and that is one of the kind of the bellwether sectors you'd look at. The other piece of data we got today was this huge revision downward in the number of jobs created between April 24 and March 25. So it's not so much are we in a stagflationary situation right now. Stagnation means the economy's not growing, and inflation means you've still got runaway prices. The question is more, have we been in that kind of environment actually for a period of 2 years or more, and are we just progressing through it? And we were denying it because all the data we had said we weren't stagnating. That's actually that's the issue in markets, the issue in economics today is that very question.
Okay, it's that we were in a different position when the Trump administration started than even I think they were led to believe that.
Well, yeah, although I think they had some inclination that things were maybe a little bit weaker. So yeah, I think that's a real risk, which is why everybody is debating now, okay, is the Federal Reserve going to cut interest rates if we're kind of flirting with stagnation? We'll see. Look, there's some juice in the pipeline. That the tax bill that got passed in July reduces taxes on investment, reduces taxes for families, a whole bunch of other areas. So the good news is you've got some juice there in the pipeline, but that takes some time to work through. So it is a little bit of a pins and needles situation. And it definitely feels more that way today when you find out we haven't been creating as many jobs as we thought for a pretty long time now.
Yeah, not even close. We're talking to Brian Brenberg from the Big Money Show. Like, you know what's bad? When Oasis has to come out of retirement. they're looking at the data and they're like, you know what? I'll suck it up and play some songs with this guy.
They were like hand screen printing those T-shirts like before the like
they were so screening themselves. Mom, you know, do you know in European Vacation where they show up to the hotel and he goes, you guys need any help with your luggage? He's like, yeah, that'd be great. The guy goes, Mom, wake up. Come on. And the mom has to help him up to their room. Give me this, Brian Brenberg.
Yep.
We watched this Oasis concert. I've seen some of the video link, and obviously we were watching it there in real time. The incredible thing about Liam Gallagher is he looks pissed for every word of every song he sang.
Yes.
He looks so unhappy about the idea of being there.
You know, there's a huge contrast because he looked exactly that way. And I'm sort of like, this is a guy I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'll watch him sing songs. I don't know him. Then you got Noel Gallagher on the other side of the stage he's kind of aged and he looks a little more weathered and you're like, that guy looks like a great guy to have beer with.
Yeah, he's probably
I
the
would
fun one.
love to know that guy, and I don't ever want to know that guy. And you start to realize this is why they couldn't get along probably at the end of the day.
Noah wanted to make friends, and yeah, Liam was just fantasizing. He had like a fantasy firing squad in his head. You could tell,
yes,
because he's singing at one point. So like basically the closer Oasis in their encore is Champagne Supernova, but the second to last is Wonderwall.
Yep.
And he said whatever he said, and then he just goes, anyway, Wonderwall.
Look, I'm not going to try to adorn this, okay? You know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Just bang it out.
You don't want to hear what I have
I don't
to
need
say.
to dress this
I
up.
appreciated the honesty.
Yeah, it was great.
We came here. We didn't come here for your deep thoughts. We
No,
want to hear you sing this
I
song.
love the candor.
Yes.
He's like, you want to know what the song means to me? It means $15 million
That's right.
in royalties a year. That's what it means to me.
You paid good money to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid good money to sing it. Let's just get to it.
I don't hear about that special time you heard the song. Shut up. You do it. You want to start a podcast? I'm singing, and I'm getting paid, getting away from my brother. That's where we're at.